Wife.Mother.Teacher channel on YouTube. My name is Tiffany, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the allocated spending plan worksheets that are part of Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University course book. In a previous video, which I will link below, I kind of introduced the program and I went through the first form of the set, which was the monthly cash flow plan. So today I'm just going to do a quick overview of that before we get into the new form, which is the allocated spending plan. So first thing, the FPU, or Financial Peace University, is a program that Dave Ramsey offers. If you're not familiar with Dave Ramsey, this is him. He's kind of like a financial guru. He goes against the norm. He's anti-debt. He's all about making wise financial decisions, living on what you make, having a set budget, and then, using your own money to grow wealth because you're no longer spending that money on debt. So I highly recommend him. I absolutely adore him. I will link some information below that if you're brand new to him, you'd be able to find out a little bit more. So what we're going to do today is we're going to be looking at the allocated spending plan. This is one of the forms in the back of the course book, which is this that I have in front of me. And all that I do is I take these blank forms and I photocopy them onto large 8.5 by 11, or I'm sorry, 8.5 by 17 size paper, or what is this? 11 by 17, I'm so sorry, 11 by 17 paper. That way I have everything side by side. So I am assuming that you have already filled out your monthly cash flow plan. Here is mine. Again, I'll link below the video that I did specifically on this form, and that video explains why I have mine filled out slightly different than what he recommends. But assuming that you have this filled out, we are ready to move on to the actual allocated spending plan. This is technically 4 pages that I have printed on 2 large pieces of paper, and it takes all of the same categories that we had on our monthly cash flow plan. So that keeps it really organized and easy to understand. But basically, we're going to take all these same categories and we're going to put all of these individual charges that we have throughout the month on the date they actually go with. So across the top of the document, you write your pay periods. So in my household, although I get paid on a bi-weekly schedule, my husband gets paid on a weekly schedule. This is really the only thing I don't like about this form. They only give you 4 columns, and that's really frustrating because for me, almost every month I need a 5th column. So if that's the case for you, just use this margin space. That's what I do over here. That's my last week. And the reason I do that is, although August 1st through 6th is not in the month of July, I'm still using July money until we get paid again on August 7th. And so to me, it makes sense to include that week on my July budget. I did the same thing in June. My June allocated spending plan covered up to July 2nd because my June money had to pay for everything in my family until we got paid on July 3rd. So that's the reason that I do that. It is a little bit different than how he explains it. And if I could change anything about this form, that would be it. I would add a 5th column. But other than that, it works really well. You can go through for each pay period, you can put down what you're expecting your income to be. If you have like a base income, for example, or you can work with averages until you know your exact number. But if your pay changes a lot, he really recommends going with what your bare minimum could be. And then if you get lucky and you have a month where you make a little bit extra, then you can apply that extra money to the next most important thing in your budget. And he goes into way more information on that in the program, which I will link below. So basically all that I do is I take this blank form, and using my monthly cash flow plan, for each date, like my electricity bill is due on the 17th of the month, it's $179. So I find where the 17th is on my allocated spending plan. I come down to electricity right here, and then I put in my $179 budgeted. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off the camera for a second. I'm going to fill in all of these. I'm going to put all of my charges for the month into the appropriate places. The items that don't have dates For example, gas and oil for our car, groceries for our home, those kinds of things. I actually take out a set amount with each of my pay periods, so that's a bi-weekly pay period. So $750, I get paid 3 times in the month of July, woohoo. We take out $250 to last us for 2 weeks of gasoline for our 2 cars. So that's how I'm coming up with this number. So this number will actually be broken into 3 columns. Same thing with groceries. And then other things that are a little bit more adjustable, like haircuts for my son and husband, pocket money for him and I. We each get $30. That would be like blow money. And I know that to a lot of people, that's not very much money at all, and I totally get it, but we have a lot of debt to pay off, so we've chosen to sacrifice. So this is if I want a coffee, if we want fast food, if I want a candy bar, if I want to go to the movies with a girlfriend, and like a random thing at the store that I just like and I want to buy, whatever the case may be, that's what we use this money for. So items like this that don't have a set date, they have to be paid, I fill these in last. I make sure that the bills that have to be paid on a certain day have enough money coming in as income in that pay period, and then I put these in later. So when I turn the video back on here in just a second, I will still have these left out, and I'll explain to you then my thought process. The one other thing to point out is that there are a few bills that will be due twice with the money that I earn in the month of July. So my student loans that are due on the 2nd, the 6th, and the 4th all will require 2 payments with my July money. So the total amount I'm paying to them and the individual amount on each of the 4ths, July 4th and August 4th, that's where these numbers come from. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this off. I'll plug in all of these numbers and then I'll be back to explain it. Thank you. All right, welcome back. Here we are with part 2. So what we're going to be taking a look at is how I filled in all of the different bills that we have throughout the month in their different locations, the different dates that they're due. So this is the moment that can either be absolutely exhilarating or incredibly depressing. But either way, you are going to end up learning a lot from it. So what you're going to find is that when you had filled out your monthly cash flow plan, you should have put in the amount of money that you are going to make or that you assume you are going to make, like your bare minimum. I'm just not putting that there because I don't want my family's income to be, like public knowledge. And you should be able to add up what all of these together total. And basically what you find out is the total amount of income coming in minus the total amount that you have going somewhere determines, in the case of Dave Ramsey's program, what is hopefully 0. Because with him, anything that you would quote unquote call extra money is not really extra. You have to give it a purpose. Even if that purpose is going to be that you're going to go blow it at the mall, or you're going to put it in a savings account, or you're going to put it to charity, whatever, but you have to give it a name. There is no such thing as extra money. So you already know that from the front. For us, well, for most people, July is a really exciting month because the way that the month falls, most people on a biweekly pay schedule are going to get paid 3 times in the month of July. That doesn't happen all the time. There's usually a few months a year, and it's really exciting when you're trying to get something paid off. July is the month to do it because you quote unquote will have a little bit of extra money. But here's the thing, you're only going to have extra money at a certain time. So you have to make sure that all of your bills can still be paid. It would be really easy for you to finish up with the monthly cash flow plan. And let's say, for example, that you find like $500 extra in July and you think, oh, sweet, I've got extra money. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and go blow it at the mall. So it's, July 1st. So I'm going to go ahead and do that today. Whoa, you got to pause yourself. What you don't know is that you might actually have so many bills due at the beginning of the month, or larger bills like a mortgage, for example, that are going to suck up all of that money. You might not have the money that you want to go spend at the mall right away. It might be later. So that's the case for our July. The very beginning of my July, we have a lot of money that's due for bills. And my very end of July, I have a lot of money that's due for bills. In the middle, we really don't have very much going on. And so that little bit of extra that we're going to put into a category, which for us this month, we're putting it into our vacation fund. That's where all of our quote unquote extra is going. All of that is actually going to come in our second pay period in July. That's what this form lets you do. That's why this form is so incredibly powerful, because you can see exactly where your money is going, when it's going there, and you can see if you have enough money coming in during that pay period. Unfortunately, undoubtedly, you are going to fill out a budget at some point, and you're going to realize you don't have enough income coming in during this pay period to pay all of your bills. That's a really scary moment, but instead of just, like hiding your head under the sand, that's the moment you have to act. You have to do something. If you realize that you can't pay your mortgage, or you can't pay, a student loan bill, and that's going to happen, you are so much better off to call the company and tell them. I've found that financially, honesty is truly the best policy. If I call somewhere, I still might have a late fee, and they still might give me a hard time. I'm not saying that won't happen, but by letting them know, hey, I'm responsible. I did my budget, and the way the pay period falls this month is not good, and I don't have enough money in this week to pay you. So instead, I am going to pay you in the next pay period. I have that worked out. I've budgeted, it will work. I'm willing to pay a late fee, but that is when your money will be coming. Please note my account. That always works out better. The other thing that you can often do with bills, especially things like your phone, your internet, other reoccurring things like student loan debts, you can talk to them and you can say, hey, the beginning and the end of my month are always really heavy on bills being due, but the middle of my month is pretty empty. Could we move my due date every month so that it falls more in the center of the month? That's something that we've done a couple of times with toying around with when bills are due that was actually really beneficial. That's the kind of stuff that this form can help you figure out. That's why I love it. It's absolutely amazing. This form is crucial to knowing where your money's going and when it's going there. In other words, in each pay period, what needs to be paid, how much, and how much income do you have to work with. So now that I have that all filled out, you'll notice I have some funny spots. I put in boxes with things that I either don't know when they will be due or things that are flexible. So for us, we just signed up for Hulu and Netflix, but our free trial is over this month. And so I know that I have to pay them $7.99 and $8.99. The problem is I'm not clear on when that's coming out. Now, if it was a huge chunk of money, like $100, I would worry. But most people think that you should have at least like $100 as a buffer in your checking account. So I know that that $100 buffer that we have will cover those two very small charges. So I'm not even going to worry about it. But again, if it were something big, I would be calling them and I would be finding out exactly when the money would come out. But other things like haircuts. We don't have to have my boys get their haircut on a certain day. It's okay if they go an extra week. So just at some point this month, I know that they're going to need a haircut. Same thing with our pocket money. It's okay if we don't get it right away. If we get it a little bit later than the month, no big deal. My dog needs to go in for a vaccine. But again, that can fluctuate where in the month it happens. So that's what the boxes mean to me. The other thing that I do a little bit differently than Dave Ramsey, just like on the monthly cash flow plan, he has a set way he recommends doing this. So he recommends you take your income, you subtract from it how much you have budgeted, and you write down what is left. And then you subtract the next thing you budget and you write down what is left. And you just keep going so that the very last column in this pay period should equal 0. Again, Totally worthwhile. We did it for the whole start of this program, but we're far enough into the program now and we've done this enough that I've found that I don't really need to do that. I'm able to kind of make a shortcut. But, you know, just disclaimer, if you're just starting out with Dave Ramsey, do it the way he recommends. It works, it makes sense, I promise. Just put in the extra effort. But for us, since we've gone a little bit farther, I just total up this column. So in my first pay period, I have $2,500 worth of bills that have to be paid. So all I'm worried about is that grand total number. And I've done that for every pay period across the month, how much is actually due during that pay period. And so now I know that the beginning and the ending of my month are heavy, the middle of my month is not. So that extra money that I wanted for our vacation fund, that's going to come out of the center. I'm also going to have come out of the center things like the pocket money, the haircut, the visit to the vet. They're going to happen in this part because they're flexible and that's when I'm going to have extra money. So the last step would be that I would go in and fill those in. I would decide exactly when and I would fill in the appropriate box. The other thing that I would do is I would finish filling out my income up here at the top, how much I'm expecting to earn in each pay period. And then I always like to do just a final check. I take both forms, I make sure I wrote everything down, make sure that I have the right date, you know, that everything's accounted for. I double check our calendar to see if there's anything that we're gonna need to spend money on that I maybe forgot about. And I just kind of double check. And once I've done all of this, this is when my husband and I sit down and have our money meeting. Another big part of the Dave Ramsey program is that you have to agree with your spouse. That is huge. You both have to be on board with your budget. And so although to me, this budget is done and I think it's perfect the way that it is and you know, I'm totally happy with it. When I sit down with my husband with this plan, he might remember something that I forgot, or he might feel differently or have a different opinion. And so that's when him and I have to sit and talk and decide, you know, what the final like copy of this is. It's really important that it's not just me making all the decisions, even though I'm the, you know, financial nerd of our relationship. We both have to agree. And so we'll go through this, he'll go through this, we'll look for things that need to be changed, we'll make any final decisions, and then we will have our running budget for the month. So then the very last thing to tell you is once our budget is final, we've had our money meeting, then I go ahead and I run our month on this. So every like couple of weeks, I log into our online banking, and as soon as I see that this charge has cleared, so let's just pretend that you know, it's a week from now and this charge cleared our bank account, then I would put a check mark. That's different than the Dave Ramsey program. It's just what works for me. I like a quick visual that yes, I have confirmed this charge has happened. And sometimes what you'll find is that some of your bills will change unexpectedly. So that happened with my utility bills. They dropped our average bill because we weren't using as much electricity as they thought we were going to. So anytime that happens, I actually cross out this number and I write the amount they actually charged, and then I give it a check mark. And then when I would be filling out my August budget, I always look for changes like that. So I know from now on, it's gonna be $179, whereas before it used to be $190. So hopefully that helps you. I hope that you kind of understand, you know, how we fill out our allocated spending plan and why we do the things that we do. But if there's anything I didn't explain, or if you have any questions, I would love to hear from you. Please comment below. I'll get back to you as soon as possible with an answer. I will be gone, by the way, for vacation for a little bit in July. So if I don't get back to you in the month of July 2015, for about a week and a half, that's why I'm not ignoring you. I promise. Well, okay, I lied. I am kind of ignoring you, but I'm on vacation. So I think it's worthwhile. And then also don't forget to subscribe and like this video below, share it with your friends, anybody that you think would benefit from it. I really appreciate it. Working moms, you're awesome. Keep up the great work. See you soon.